Welcome to another episode of Fear the Talking Heads. I am here today with Katie and Joanna. Hi,
Hey,
ladies. Now, you know all three of us from Scarefest TV as Wes's co-host minions, so if we look familiar to you and just can't place us, that's probably where it is, unless it's just a random grocery store that you saw us in. I have these two on today to talk about their experiences both with paranormal investigating and what has inspired them via TV or movies, and some of the other side projects that they may be doing just in real time. Now, I'll start with Katie. Katie, who is librarian by day and ghost hunter at night.
my name's Katie. I have been investigating since 2009, 2010, or at least I've been interested in it. I started doing it because I had my sister loved the show Ghost Hunters, and one year for her birthday, we had went to Sam Goody and bought her a season on DVD. We watched that night, and I have horrible anxiety disorder, so I was literally like shaking like a dog while watching it. We watched the episode of the St. Augustine Lighthouse, and that has some of the most incredible evidence that I've ever seen. And I mean this lovingly to the ghost hunters guys. They're not very good actors, and I could tell that they were actually really excited about what was happening compared to other episodes where they're like, well, then we heard a full body apparition. No, they were bouncing off the walls. That made me very curious because I was like, well, they don't seem scared and nothing bad happened to them. But I want to see that. I want to see what they saw because that is crazy and it's blowing my mind. So I joined the TAPS forum back in the day where the TAPS people always were like, all the fans were rude. And, but they would tell you like it was. And I would go like to cemeteries and set up with like my sister's recorder I stole and be like, is there anybody here with me? No, nobody was. I joined a team in 2011 and I was with them until 2019. Then I started my own team in 2020. And
Congrats on that.
my team's name is 859 Paranormal Research. We decided on that because our area code's 859, and we thought that if we created this team, that because we were numbers first, that we would appear in search engines first.
Okay.
But I started it with a few people. There was a point in my investigative life where I did not believe in manipulating people for scares or for entertainment value. I will not ever lie to somebody about being like, oh, such and such happened. There might be a demon here. No, I'm not doing that. I will tell you if there's nothing happening. Most of the time, we spend our investigations laughing, but I've just decided that I have to have people that I trust deeply in a dark building because we have been in some hairy situations.
Well, I imagine
And
if you're in an abandoned type place too, there could be injuries that happen. You all have to be on your A game.
we've had people try to break into buildings when we're in there, and that's very scary.
Oh,
Yeah, it was in
yes.
Louisville. It was in downtown Louisville. We were at an abandoned ice tower that it was originally built pre-prohibition. There was a distillery and they made beer there. And then when prohibition happened, it shut down and it turned into an ice tower.
Okay.
That building is super spooky wooky looking. It was scary. But you are in downtown Louisville where everybody wants to get into the scary building. And so we had already had one issue where security came to talk to us. I had to call the owner to be like, hey, I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah, so you
But
do
we
it
had,
straight. You get permission and everything beforehand.
yeah, I'm not going to jail for that. I'm not built for jail. So, like, but we had permission to be there. So when the owner was like, they're supposed to be there, they basically called security off for the night. So then we had teenagers crawling into the side of the building, and we were like, hey, go on somewhere. But then when we were like down in the basement investigating, we heard this loud boom, 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 boom. It scared the shit out of us. It was straight up, it was a human trying to get into the building. And
Oh
we were down in the
gosh,
basement.
no.
So my hero, Steven, he had his little pistol on his, he was like walking up like James Bond style. But like I was thankful for that. Oh, and yeah, you're right. The potential injuries in abandoned locations are.
Yeah.
I've done some stupid shit I shouldn't have done.
If it is abandoned, you have things to worry about, like flooring that may not be so stable, items that have been left behind that you can trip over.
People sleep in abandoned buildings. So
Okay,
that's
yeah,
one
that
that you had
too.
to be. It's people are way scarier than ghosts.
Yeah.
And drugs, that was one thing we came into a lot of issues with, is where people will go in and do drugs, and so we have to like watch out for needles in
Oh,
abandoned buildings and stuff like that. I rarely do abandoned properties like that because of that. But like one time it was on my old team, we were investigating this old mill and we needed to plug our stuff up, but the one fucking plug in the whole building was I had to crawl across like a beam and to like get over to the other side. So I was a 15-foot drop. And
why do
like
I
I
feel
sit,
I'm like picturing Katie in a Mission Impossible scene? Dun 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 dun
yes, it
dun
was
dun.
that. So I stopped and like took a picture of me like high wiring across this abandoned building and sent it to my mom. She's like, I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. And so I was like, I'm a ghost hunter. It's you're not a real ghost hunter unless you die.
Oh my
So
God.
uh,
Unless you die. Sorry,
unless
Mom.
you're dead too. Yeah, it's but yeah, I love it. I like having my own team. It makes me very very proud. And you know, it's sometimes I get very very frustrated because I do believe in running things in the most honest way possible. To quote the great Jason Hawes, when in doubt, throw it out. So we've thrown out a lot of evidence before if we can potentially debunk it. Well, it's so boring for people that want to think that they have Beelzebub in their house. One time I've been on an investigation where they're like, I smell this sulfuric egg smell in my bedroom. Well, the bathroom that was attached to their bedroom, the toilet line was completely dried out and it smelled awful.
Katie's like,
So
no, I'm
we
sorry, your toilet's just busted, lady.
your toilet's busted. And so we poured water down it and it kind of went away. And I was like, you don't have a demon. Sorry. And there's that.
You're like, the good
There,
news is you don't have demons. The bad news is you need to invest in a new
you need to
toilet.
call a plumber. Like Roto Rooter, baby. We were at Pioneer Playhouse, and that was one of my first jobs. And like we'd had a few little EMF hits, and we're recording with the newspaper. We go up into the old rehearsal hall, and I shit you not, I hear like scratching on the walls, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so scary!" It was squirrels. They had like a whole family of squirrels in their wall. Like we could see them coming out, and I was like, "Oh."
Yep.
Whew, everybody loves Paranormal Battlefield. It's a Civil War battlefield. It's 6,000 people died there. But when you go there, they're like, oh, so you can hear the soldiers in the bushes. No, there's 6,000 deers here. Like there's rabbits. They will run out in front of you. It's so hard to explain that to people. Like I haven't had anything happen. One time I was out there, and again, you're in this battlefield where you hear about all this atrocious, horrible history that's happened, and you look up and you see this shadow walking on the horizon, and it's somebody that hopped the gate. That like we had the gates locked up, we had permission to be
Yeah.
there and stuff. Somebody had hopped the gate to take their nightly walk.
But debunking a lot of things is what makes it that much more awesome when you find something that's real,
When
right?
I've had something that pops up, I trust me, I go into shock every time.
Yeah.
And the funniest things is when it happens and you didn't know it was happening. There have been times like there's a place in Monticello. It's called Dunnigan's. It's this little tiny restaurant. It's built like 1890 or something. It's so cool. It's a cool little building. And I didn't think a thing happened that night, but we had like an apparition of like a shadow going across the camera. We had the door opening and closing by itself. So when they came back, we're like, oh, actually, we have this on camera. So the most recent one was we were at the old courthouse in Greensburg, Kentucky. It's an awesome building. It's the oldest courthouse west of the Allegheny Mountains. It ran for 135 years. Not a fucking thing happened when we were in there. I expected nothing. But when we reviewed the evidence, all of our motion detectors were going off when we weren't in the building. And I was like, oh, well, okay.
So sometimes in the moment, you may not know anything is going on until you go back and review your evidence.
Yeah. Literally, we left early that night and went karaoke to cross the street.
Okay.
Like we didn't think anything was happening. And so when we got that, I was like, oh, yes. Cool.
Now, skipping over to Joanna. Joanna, you haven't been doing it as long, but do you want to tell us first? Do you want to tell us kind of some of the other horror projects that you've been working on, and then kind of go into your experience as a paranormal investigator?
Sure. Yes. So I just started with this paranormal group this year, Unseen Encounters. We've done a few investigations, and surprisingly, there's some stuff I'm like, okay, I'm not sure what's going on here. It's a little spooky, but we're getting our episodes together, and hopefully we'll drop them this fall. And I am going to be in a Scott Tepperman movie, A Cruel Summer, Part 4. I'm terrible at Roman numerals. Shh, don't tell anyone.
Are you excited?
I am super excited, super nervous. I can't disclose, but there is going to be a horror icon in this movie, and I am to be his trophy wife.
Oh,
So,
Hell
so I
yeah.
got like a couple small scenes, a few lines. I'm super excited. So
that's
yeah, I go
cool.
film for that, and let's see, it'll be probably here in the less than 2 weeks.
Joanna, you have Hook, Line, and Chill as well. And that's a
Yeah,
fishing show.
yeah, we just started a season, so or this year, just filmed. So I think my the episode that I am in will premiere April 30th.
Okay.
So
And I
yes,
know that we can find on YouTube.
yes, it is on YouTube.
Okay. Now, when Unseen Encounters, when those episodes drop, is that also planning to go to YouTube?
There is a channel on Amazon Prime. It is called Dark Realm. So that
Okay.
is that's a few guys started this channel and they're putting content on it. And then it's also going to be available through Roku.
Oh, decent. Okay. The most recent one that you did, it was you really kind of felt something from that and had not so good a reaction, right?
I did. So at the places I've gone to, I'll say that I wanted to get into paranormal for more selfish reasons. I'm like, I want to see something, damn it. All these other people get to experience these things, and I haven't felt, jack shit. So I've definitely have felt something. I'm like, what is going on? Why am I all of a sudden feeling all these tingles and it's hard to breathe, it's hard to move? I'm like, is this a psychological thing? I don't know. So I'm like, I'm gonna keep doing it until I'm like, I want to actually see, like, Katie saw like an apparition on camera, and I'm like, gosh, dang it, that's what I want.
I remember from a previous episode that you and I did, you had said that you come from a family of mystics. So you may be more sensitive than someone else that does paranormal investigating, which is just one added layer to you going into this. So I think it's just perfect that you decided to venture into that side of things.
Yes, just trying to embrace it. Well, I guess I probably watched the movie The Entity a little too young. That was definitely freaky, where you realize, like, oh my gosh, people can be violated this way by some type of energy or some type of spirit. So that definitely probably got me curious at a young age.
And I know you had
Very,
also mentioned Amityville was one too that had an effect.
oh, yes, indeed. That scared the living dog shit out of me.
Yeah. Yeah. I know there's been, kind of conversations that you can, if anyone wants to just go check it out on Google, there's conversations of debunking it. But if you take it for the movie that it is, which just talks about this family that's being affected by multiple ghosts of the family that lived there prior to them moving in, and they don't really know what's going on, especially like the waking up at the certain time every morning, the clock hits that time, and the male figure is all of a sudden his behavior and the way he's speaking to Margot Kidder, he's all of a sudden being kind of mean to her. That's not his character to be like that. Well, he's being affected by these ghosts that are in the home.
Amityville was one that it's one of the most infamous cases, and I don't care who you are, everybody knows it, and it's worth researching because it's fascinating. I am very skeptical of Ed and Lorraine Warren. I think I really respect them. I respect their place in the field. I think we can learn from them, but maybe this is just me being a wet blanket. I am very skeptical of anybody that has that many insane cases under their belt. Last night on Scarefest TV, I got to interview the people of the Warrens Occult Museum. Obviously, Ed and Lorraine Warren have both passed away. So these are people that Ed and Lorraine trusted to continue to run the museum. The museum is closed due to zoning issues, but they're bringing it to Scarefest this year. And I fully went into this thinking I was going to be like, okay, that doll is not haunted. That's just some doll you guys have found at a garage sale. But damn if I didn't get a headache. Conjuring, you see all of the artifacts that Ed had collected over the years, and I was like, how many does he really have? And they like went around the museum, and I was like, it's scary in there. It's like, maybe I do believe in haunted objects because I would have to go to the bathroom there. Like, ugh. Like, it was really cool. I'm so excited to see it. I want to be proven wrong.
And did I catch that right when they said that this is the first time that they're traveling with it? Or
yeah, because they've hosted their own shows, to my understanding, but kind of locally. But I think this is the first time Miss Annabelle's going over state lines.
Okay.
In a long time. They were very interesting, and they handle things completely differently than something like Robert the Doll, or haunted, spooky ass doll somewhere down in Florida.
Yeah.
And the saying is you should ask permission before you take a picture of him.
Okay.
Well, I was like, should guests ask permission from Annabelle? How does Annabelle feel about being photographed? And he's like, oh, we don't care. It's a demon. Don't ask permission from a demon. And I was like, okay.
That's kind of a good point.
But I've read all of the comments, and I kind of tried to say it last night, but I was so boogity boogity to buy everything in that room. Scarefest fans, if you are scared of the Museum of the Occult, there is professional ghost hunters that would love to deal with that. So don't worry. It's like you constantly have the police force on hand, but with ghosts. So don't be scared. They're ready. Ghost Hunters was an inspiration for me as a kid. I can remember they were the reason I went to the first Scarefest I ever went to, was to go meet Steve Tango. I again had this horrible anxiety of, oh, I'm going to be so scared there. What if they have people that try to jump out at me or something? It's going to be like a haunted house. But I was like, but for Steve and Tango, I'm willing to face it all. 15-year-old Katie that used to literally had to watch Disney movies after episodes of Ghost Hunters because I was so fucking scared that I got to interview them. That's the best fucking thing of my life. That's a dream.
And something that you had said before was that movies you had seen in the past did spook you, but then after you had seen their show, you felt like a calmness, like, okay, maybe I could go and do this.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see how ghost hunters are portrayed in media. One of my all-time favorite movies ever is the first Insidious. That movie's scary as shit. Poltergeist, too. They had this paranormal team that came in and knew what to do in this horrific situation. That's kind of inspiring in itself, but I felt like the ghost hunters made it more relatable. It made everything seem, with anxiety, I get burned out or get scared or frazzled if there is a lack of control.
Do you feel like it has taken anything away from movies for you after doing your own paranormal investigation? Do you think it has kind of made movies not as fun, not as scary?
I'm more fascinated with movies because I feel like I'm determined to find a movie that scares me.
Okay.
So I'm interested. I love to read books too about ghosts and find something that scares me. The thing that it has sucked away from me is to watch I can't watch paranormal TV anymore.
Right.
What was one of the most interesting things is that Ghost Hunters, I felt like, did a really good job. And of course, they're the granddaddies of paranormal TV shows. They're the start of it. They taught you how to debunk, what to look for. When you learn how to do that, then you catch it when they're doing shit. That was a very heartbreaking thing for me. Because again, they're not good actors. I know when they're actually excited about something. There are episodes that are iconic of Ghost Hunters that I can't stand to watch anymore. Myrtle's Plantation is one of them. That's one of the most iconic haunted locations in America. That particular episode, and I swear I hope they don't ever watch this because I don't know. I think it's fake. The way that their editing is that Grant Wilson was sitting next to this chair where this lamp supposedly moved 6 inches over the night. In a hotel room, they have like the sign of like, please no smoking or something. They had the first time they did a tour of that room, that cord to that lamp was under that sign. After they wrapped up for the night, if you look closely, the cord is out. It is up and above the sign. That cord has been messed with. So to me, I caught that and I was like, well, then that's fake because somebody's been messing with it. Like that completely, you have to cancel that out.
Men and women in paranormal investigative situations, there can be a little misogyny. We were all three talking about this at one point when we first discussed recording. Any thoughts on that you've witnessed or been a part of?
Because I'm still so new, the only things that have really happened are just being spoken over. Like, okay, wait, that's exactly what I just said, but because you have a penis, I guess it makes sense coming from you, right? Kind of stuff like that. Or maybe like the people that own the property, they don't want to talk to me. They want to talk to Shay. He's my partner.
Okay.
So stuff like that.
And I know, Katie, you have said, there's some situations that you've either witnessed or been a part of as well.
Yeah. Just mainly a lot of men that really want to impress me. I don't care. Like they'll just be like, well, I've been investigating for 20 years and I did this. The amount of men that tell me that they investigated with the TAPS team. Somebody I know, he told me the time that Steve called me by my name, that he had told him that his investigator was coming and her name is Katie. So it would tickle her if, what do you mean you told him my investigator's coming out? No, I don't belong to you. Or okay. I don't need a man to act like he's gonna like protect me from a spirit.
Something tells me you would do just fine on your own.
I ain't scared of no ghosts.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
What are you going to protect me from? If it's an unseen force, how do you know what to do? Just because you have a wiener? Like, just because, are you going to use that as a shield? Because that doesn't work. Like, and if it does, show me the proof.
Night House, and then Octagon Hall, and then yes, Metropolitan Hotel.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, so
how
out of those
was
three,
Octagon Hall?
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's what I was just going to ask about Octagon Hall. It's like you're
was,
in here, Katie.
It was freaky. Yeah. So there were, for seeing anything, just orbs. I did not get to see any figures or anything, but yeah, there was a very, very heavy anxiety feeling the whole time that I was there. There was an instance where I was trying to talk to some of the paintings and just say, oh, are any of these people here? And then I'd feel like a surge go through me when I said a particular name. And then I still don't really know what happened, but I was standing there and Liam started playing. He has this special flute that he started playing. It sounds, maybe it's Peruvian. And these cabinets behind me started shaking really hard. And I jumped and started laughing because I was like, well, I guess if I'm about to die, this is, a cool way to go. There was no one there, no one inside the cabinet. I'm like, oh, maybe they rigged up something. I have no idea.
When I first started investigating, I can remember just constantly shaking and being really tense and scared. Can you tell a difference between this is normal anxiety because I'm in a very haunted location versus ghost?
The Metropolitan is where I puked in Shay's cooler. I deal with regular anxiety. I'm like, okay, this doesn't feel great. I'm kind of worked up. This type of anxiety is different. You just feel like something bad is going to happen, or you just feel it's almost even like hopeless. It's like, wow, this feels terrible. I'm like, am I gonna die? Is something really bad about to happen?
Well, thank you for sharing that. I don't see anyone talking about that side of it.
The only time I have ever become that overwhelmed was Waverly Hills. I cried. Like I've never had that happen. Where
And
I was that
Waverly
emotional.
Hills is a place that you and Joanna are going to visit in May.
Yeah,
Yeah.
about 2
So-
weeks. It's gonna be awesome.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
This will be my
Which-
third time there.
So now, can you kind of give a preview of what that location looks like, what there is to be seen there?
Waverly is a former tuberculosis hospital. It was originally built as a school, and when tuberculosis became the epidemic that it did, they built it up, and it's one of the largest hospitals in the area. Unfortunately, when you have tuberculosis, you shouldn't, be in very moist environments, and the right by the river is not good. Thousands of people died there. It is a truly heavy building to tour. And from my 2 times before, I just always tell people Waverly is not what you're going to expect. The first time I went, I expected it to be literally like a horror movie. I was scared to death. I would be the only person in an area and I could hear others coughing, or I could hear crying or singing, or you'd hear people walk by you when you're walking. The second time is the only time I have ever been Scooby-Doo, like, woo, scared. And it wasn't anything bad. I think it was just checking me out. I was being really brave, and I was walking down the 4th floor, which would have been an ICU unit, basically, without my flashlight, by myself. Scary shit. I had my head down because honestly, I didn't want to see anything by myself. And I heard this really breathy sound that made like the side of my head tingle. And I looked up and saw a shadow figure, solid as any of us, peek around the door and then go back in. And I was like, shit.
Joanna's probably going to puke again.
You might carry a bag. Just carry a bag.
I will.
So with you two doing Waverly together, is this your first time joining forces to do this?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I'm super excited. I can't wait to see what kind of shenanigans we get into because I'm a pretty big moose.
Next time you can go with us.
Oh, I don't think that will happen. In fact, I can definitively say no.
Me and Joanna will protect you. For me, I don't think what's at Waverly is always patients that have been there or doctors or something like that. They tell all of these haunted patient stories, but I think people bring energy with them, and it just like attaches to that building. I think a lot of what it is, I think a lot of people provoke when they're there. You're not supposed to. You have to sign a waiver. I had a bit of a problem with them doing a haunted house on their 1st floor of this place.
Same.
I think that's disrespectful.
Same.
Or having because they had this beautiful, you'll see it when you go, and it's gone now, thankfully. But they had this gorgeous front door, but that they had this zombie mural painted on it. And they took the mural down, but it was such a beautiful piece of history, and I didn't vibe with that.
I get that they have to make money, but I still thought that was disrespectful. So I agree with you on that.
I will say, ghost hunting in haunted houses, like Halloween haunted houses, is so much fun. But when so many people suffered there, I didn't vibe with it.
Same.
We did recently the haunted hotel in Louisville, which was super cool. It's this old house that they've turned into this haunted house. But to go set your cameras up, you had to walk through the body bags to get to where our home space was. And that was cool. That was really fun. We were trying to set up, but they did not take us through one hallway where the floor tiles did this when you walked. So we were carrying our camera bags and we're like, whoa! It was fun. I mean, it added a whole new thing to it. And we had some really interesting activity that night, but I think that's one of my favorite investigations.
Thank you for joining me. This has been another episode of Fear the Talking Heads. Tune in next time when we're talking about Waverly.